Imagine waking up before sunrise, not because an alarm tells you to move, but because hunger does. The fire has collapsed into a low red glow. The air is cold enough to make your fingers stiff. Somewhere beyond the camp, birds begin calling from trees you cannot see yet. And before anyone says a word, your body already knows the truth. Today, you will walk. Not for fitness, not for a step goal, not because someone told you 10,000 steps would improve your health. You will walk because the berries near camp are gone, because the water is farther than yesterday, because the herd tracks you found 2 days ago may already be fading, because the stone you need for tools lies beyond the ridge, because children need food, elders need firewood, and the landscape does not deliver survival to your door. For most of human history, stopping was not rest. Stopping could become hunger, and that may be one of the hardest things for modern people to understand about ancient life. We often treat walking as an optional activity, something we schedule after work, track on a phone, or promise ourselves we will do tomorrow. But for Paleolithic humans, movement was built into the day so deeply that it was not called exercise. It was just life. A person in a foraging group may have walked to find water, gather plants, search for honey, follow animal tracks, collect wood, visit another group, move camp, or simply check what had changed in the land overnight. Some days may have been short, some may have been brutal. Distances varied by season, climate, age, gender, food availability, and strategy. So, no, we should not imagine every ancient human walking exactly 10 or 15 kilometers every single day like a prehistoric fitness challenge. That would be too neat. Ancient life was not neat. But studies of modern hunter-gatherer groups give us a clue. Many foragers move far more than most people in industrial societies. Among the Hadza of Tanzania, researchers have recorded daily walking distances that can reach several miles, with men and women often moving different distances depending on tasks, season, and age. The important point is not the exact number. The point is the rhythm. Human bodies were shaped in a world where survival usually meant moving through space, reading the ground, remembering places, and returning with something useful. The land was not scenery. It was a living map. Imagine a small group leaving camp in the morning. The children stay close at first, stepping into old footprints where the ground is cold and damp. An older woman pauses near a patch of plants and touches the leaves carefully. A young hunter studies broken grass. Someone points toward a line of birds circling in the distance. No one is walking randomly. Every step is a question. Is there water here? Did animals pass this way? Are these fruits ripe yet? Did another group visit this place? Is that smoke in the distance? Is that cloud bringing rain? Is that silence normal? Modern people often separate the body from the mind. We talk about physical health over here, mental health over there, learning somewhere else. But for ancient humans, walking braided them together. Your legs moved, but your attention moved too. A person walking through a Paleolithic landscape was constantly collecting information. A bent branch might mean an animal passed. A smell in the air might mean water, rot, fire, or danger. A patch of disturbed soil might mean roots. A bird call might mean nothing, or it might mean something nearby was moving. Ancient walking was not empty movement. It was thinking with the whole body. And this is where the story becomes strange. Humans are not the fastest animals. We are not built like cheetahs. We do not have the raw strength of big cats, the speed of antelope, or the nose of a wolf. On paper, we are almost embarrassing. A human sprinting across open ground looks like nature's rough draft. But over long distances, under the right conditions, humans become something else. We are unusually good at endurance. Our long legs, spring-like tendons, upright posture, and ability to sweat help us travel for long periods, especially in heat. Sweating is not glamorous, but it is one of the quiet superpowers of the human body. Many animals cool themselves by panting, but panting becomes harder while running fast. Humans can sweat across much of the body while moving, dumping heat into the air as long as water is available. In a survival world, that matters. A spear makes distance dangerous, but endurance makes time dangerous. This does not mean every ancient human was persistence hunting every day, or that long-distance running explains everything about human evolution. Researchers still debate how important endurance hunting was in different environments and periods. But the broader point is solid. Human bodies are unusually adapted for covering ground. Walking was not a side feature of being human. It was central. And you can feel that in the daily problems our ancestors faced. Food was rarely in one perfect place. Plants ripened at different times, animals migrated, water sources dried, camps became dirty or depleted, firewood disappeared nearby. Stone for tools might be found in one area, animal hides in another, edible roots somewhere else. A camp was not a supermarket. It was a temporary negotiation with the land. Stay too long, and the nearby resources thin out. Move too early, and you waste energy. Move too late, and hunger starts making decisions for you. That was the pressure. Every day, the landscape asked, "Are you paying attention?" Now imagine the fatigue. Because ancient walking was not a clean sidewalk under soft shoes. It could mean uneven ground, thorny scrub, snow, mud, loose stones, steep slopes, river crossings, insects, heat, cold, and the weight of whatever you carried back. A modern person may walk 10 kilometers and call it a workout. An ancient person might walk that distance while scanning for snakes, carrying a child, watching the sky, remembering the way home, and hoping the food they find is worth the energy spent. That last part is important. Movement had a cost. If you burned more energy searching than you gained from food, the day became a failure written inside the body. Hunger is not abstract when you have no backup meal. It becomes a pressure behind the eyes. It changes patience. It changes risk. It changes how far you are willing to go. And yet, this constant movement likely gave ancient people a kind of physical conditioning that many modern bodies rarely experience. Not perfect health, not some fantasy of prehistoric wellness. Ancient people dealt with injury, infection, parasites, childbirth dangers, famine, violence, dental problems, and early death. Prehistory was not a wellness retreat. It was hard. But the daily pattern of movement, walking, carrying, digging, climbing, squatting, tracking, gathering, kept the body engaged in ways modern life often removes. Their medicine was not walking alone. It was movement embedded in purpose. There is a difference. Modern exercise can feel strange because the body moves while the world stays meaningless. A treadmill gives the legs work, but the eyes see a wall. A step counter gives a number, but not a berry patch, not a river bend, not the memory of where the deer crossed after rain. Ancient movement came with reasons. You walked to know. You walked to eat. You walked to return. That kind of walking also shaped social life. People did not always move alone. A gathering trip could become a teaching trip. A child learned which plants were safe, which tracks mattered, which insects meant honey might be nearby, which places were avoided. Knowledge did not sit in books. It walked beside you. An elder might slow down at a certain tree and explain why it mattered. A teenager might learn that the shortest route is not always the safest. A child might discover that being lost is not one mistake, but a chain of missed details. Ancient navigation was not just go north. It was memory tied to rock, smell, slope, wind, water, animal behavior, and stories. A landscape became familiar because feet returned to it again and again. And when groups moved through large territories over seasons, they were not simply wandering. Mobility could be highly strategic. Some groups likely returned to known places at known times. Others followed animals, coastlines, rivers, rainfall, or plant cycles. Some landscapes allowed more staying. Others demanded motion. There was no single Paleolithic lifestyle. There were many. Frozen plains, tropical forests, deserts, coasts, mountains, river valleys, each one asked for a different kind of walking. That is why the idea of ancient humans walked 10 to 15 kilometers every day must be handled carefully. Some did, sometimes. Some likely walked much farther on certain days. Others, in resource-rich environments or during certain seasons, may have moved less. The truth is more interesting than the slogan. Humans became adaptable movers. Not because movement was always the same, but because survival required knowing when to move, where to move, and when not to waste the energy. That is a deeper intelligence. And maybe this is why walking can still feel strangely calming today. Not because modern walking magically returns us to the Paleolithic. It does not. We live in a different world, with different dangers, different diets, different stress, and very different forms of work. But the body still carries old expectations. It expects the legs to move, it expects the eyes to scan distance, it expects rhythm, sunlight, shifting ground, and the quiet mental order that sometimes comes when the body is doing what it was built to do. Most people never think about this. But a walk is one of the oldest conversations between the human body and the world. Long before gyms, roads, cities, or clocks, humans were already measuring life in routes, from camp to water, from water to trees, from trees to tracks, from tracks to food, from food back to fire. And the return mattered most. Because walking away from camp was only half the story. You had to come back. Imagine that moment near dusk. The group is tired now. The morning confidence is gone. Someone carries roots in a woven container. Someone else carries wood. A child drags their feet. A hunter has seen tracks, but no animal. The air cools. The land begins to lose color. Every step home feels heavier. But then the smoke appears. A thin gray line rising above the trees. The camp is still there. The fire is still alive. And suddenly, the walking changes. It is not searching anymore. It is returning. That emotional rhythm, leaving, searching, finding, carrying, returning, may be one of the oldest patterns in human life. We still feel it. We leave home with problems. We move through the world looking for what we need. We come back tired, changed, sometimes empty-handed, sometimes carrying something that helps the people waiting for us. Ancient humans walked so much because the world required it. But over time, that requirement shaped more than their muscles. It shaped attention, memory, cooperation, curiosity, endurance, the ability to read landscapes, the ability to keep going when the answer was not yet visible. Walking was not just how they crossed the land, it was how the land entered them. And maybe that is the real lesson. Our ancestors did not move because they were trying to become healthy. They moved because life was out there, scattered across the earth, waiting to be found. And every day, the human body answered the same ancient command. Stand up. Look around. Keep going.